fantastic job.
Absolutely true. I mean, Melody C is always that, you know, solid, reliable player. I mean, the more flashy players, I would actually say, will probably go over to Lucky on the Gul'dan and CZH on that Rhaegar because of those fantastic last-second Ancestor healings. But the damage he was able to dish out on that Phoenix, it was pretty bonkers and impressive, right? Especially since he always managed to time the Purification Salvo when there was at least one slowing effect on the enemy team.
So now, Battlefield of Eternity. A map that both of these teams have an absurd win rate on. It used to be SPT's old stomping ground, but they actually struggled on it a little bit in the early weeks of this season. Now they're coming back to it. Let's see what they can pull off here, or whether CE can make any kind of comeback themselves.
As you said, BOE, man, it's a China favorite. A lot of the teams like to go there even as a first, you know, series opening map. We saw that plentiful times yesterday. So, as you said, SPT also, they really felt comfortable. We've seen so many cool moves by them. You know, Melody C introducing us to the mid-fountain snipes, something we haven't really seen before a lot in 2017, that was. But on the flip side, though, there's a lot of things that CE knows about this map as well. And you can really see how quickly these teams are drafting today, Tetra. It looks like both of those teams went into this best of 5 well prepared, you know, analyzing and spying their opponents.
Lufel finally going to get back onto his Phoenix that was stolen away from him last game. It has been almost a crutch for him this season, so cool to see it come in. 365 bringing out the Karazim very early here. A little bit of an extra Immortal race, and Muradin over Johanna. They're going for those extra slows and more of a zoning frontliner, whereas Johanna is more of a defensive bulwark frontliner. Either one of them, those are the two tanks that actually have the best time against Garrosh, so this is why we see Muradin so early.
Now, this must be a Rainer ban, in my opinion. Already, you can see how CE is trying to, you know, get rid a lot of the racing potential for the enemy team. They secured themselves Phoenix and Karazim, which is pretty much a solid pick in their respective roles when it comes to racing themselves. But if they let the Rainer go through, and we saw what Rainer could do on this map with the PvE talent, with the Exterminate level 1, this might be a pretty heavy blow in that regard in terms of racing. But they actually ban out the false stat on BOE. That is not a common ban we see on this map.
It is not, but it is one of the heroes that we have seen several heroes actually use a great amount of versatility to use it as a backdoor hero, or even just a split soak. Due to this being a 2-lane map, of course, soaking an individual lane actually becomes a little bit more valuable, because you might be soaking, because normally you might be soaking a lane when your opponent isn't. So now with the false stat banned, that global potential goes down to heroes like Dahaka, which so far has not been picked. We see Blaze picked up by SPT. So how tanky does CE want their front line to be? Because if they want something that can lane against the Blaze, both Leoric could work. They want a tanky frontliner, but they miss out on some CC and Immortal race. Or Malthael. That's going to give them better Immortal race, but potentially worse actual tankiness at the front line.
Like, when you go Muradin and Phoenix, I think you need another aggressive frontliner. Now, Arthas is kind of a hybrid in between those two, right? He's pretty okay when it comes to damaging people compared to other warriors, but he's also not that hyper-mobile, threatening executor like we have a Malthael there, for example, or a Zeratul.
I mean, he's fantastic with Phoenix. We know this already. I was thinking, like, how tanky do they want their front line to be? The answer is really quite. So that is immensely aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised to see Muradin go for a Haymaker here. I'd like to say I wouldn't mind seeing Arthas go for the Syndragosa, but I really doubt that's going to happen. But the home run pick coming in here, the Tychus. You're against that double tank lineup here, the Arthas and the Muradin. Hugely frontline heavy, you bring in the percentage damage.
You know what? If it hadn't been for Tychus as their last pick, as SPT's last pick, I think the Syndragosa would have been an option if CE by this point in time, when they hit level 10, would have had like a 1 or 2 level lead, right? And they had an Immortal pushing in their favor. And then, you know, if it hadn't been for Tychus with percentage damage, Arthas wouldn't actually have to rely on all that self-sustain and defense, right? So that could have been a possibility, maybe, in a crazy world, if CE doesn't really take this too seriously. But now with the Tychus in the mix, I don't think there's a way for any Syndragosa plays, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize all that damage potential that could come in from the 2 Space Marines.
So, Triple Terran coming in from SPT. Their front line is also very tanky. Blaze Bunker, of course. Rainer can self-armor. Tychus can self-armor. They are incredibly hard to burst through, which is going to give Li Ming a very difficult time actually attempting to seek out those resets. But there's a lot of slows to deal with. Malfurion, he can, of course, Nature's Cure, which will remove a lot of those slows. So Phoenix needs to time his salvo very effectively after that cleanse comes out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out who's going to reign supreme on Battlefield of Eternity. Can CE equalize the score, or is SPT going to expand their lead by 2? Let's see. SPT, we're going to introduce them once again with Lucky on that Rainer. Melody C's playing his buddy Tychus. Misaka on that Garage. Soap on Blaze. And ZZH is playing Malfurion.
And on the right, it is CE Challenge with Lufel on Phoenix, Wind on Muradin, 365 on Karazim, KTY on Arthas, and Zuyu is playing the Li Ming. And we are not seeing Exterminator, Kendrick. It's ace in the hole.
Okay, so this, from an analyst's point of view, from a commentator's point of view, is very, very interesting, because I've been saying on my own personal stream several times that you could go ace in the hole on BOE as well, although that isn't really the norm for most pro players. But the talent is so good all by itself that it's still going to give you so much more team fighting value, even on BOE. And if you win the team fight, then you're also going to get the Immortal without Exterminate, right? So let's see how Lucky can actually make this talent work. They do have several slows available, you know, and most importantly with the Blaze in the Garage. So this is super good. This is such nice analysis. It could, of course, be the case that Lucky was just sleeping a little bit and he was like, oh, snap, I already picked it, but we're playing on BOE. Wanted to go Exterminate. But let's just assume that this was not the case.
I mean, we look at the compositions, and even with Exterminate, CE actually had pretty decent race. They've got Li Ming, they have Karazim, they have the Phoenix. They can burn through these Immortals pretty quickly. Not the same can be said for SPT. Good CC as Wind, able to escape over the wall. But SPT, like you said, very likely to be going for that team fight style here. They've gone for the Adrenaline Stim Pack, which sort of leads towards that direction as well. Let's see how well they can execute this. There's a nice little burn damage onto Misaka there, who thought about the toss, but realized he was taking too much damage and turns around instead.
Yeah, you raise a really good point. Like, it's highly questionable whether, even with Exterminate and the additional PvE damage from Rainer, SPT would have actually been able to race their opponents. And so let's see what they can do with increased team fight power. Like, already we can see how much value the Karazim is going to get, though, after level 4, right? If he drops the Earth Ally against Tychus and Rainer, and if it doesn't get shut down immediately, then this could be some heavy damage reduction. Now, Mercenary Camp has been taken by CE, who were a little bit quicker to rotate and establish themselves in a nice position. Misaka currently trying to play with vision here and maybe go for one of the squishy backliners, but the same thing can be said about Wind. He's currently hiding in that bush, trying to find an angle, trying to find a grip.
Actually saw both solo laners attempt to rotate down there, thinking they could join up with the teams. The fight went on a little bit longer, but fight ended. They both re-rotated back up. A tiny bit of XP, like 1 minion each was lost, but it's pretty even either way, so not so much of a problem. Both teams begin starting those Fallen Shaman camps. KTY right now hiding out behind his base because Soap is not showing. Soap, on the other hand, is checking to see if Arthas is getting assistance and if he's attempting to try and do that camp.
Yeah, so far we haven't actually seen anything, you know, off that top lane of the duel between Soap and KTY, but if we just look at their mana bars and health bars, you could definitely see that both players were kind of like prioritizing, you know, clearing minions and dealing with those rather than fighting and dueling one another. 365 in the nick of time gets that ally to jump to.
Now Melody C is getting chased down. Arthur's dropping those slows. Misaka will probably end up being the target. 365 dives in, takes a huge amount of damage. There's the Indomitable, and they're able to pick up the kill. Wind dropped low, as is KTY, but they are tanking through.
They're tanking through indeed, and that was a beautiful pick here on the side of CE. First of all, we had that last second escape by 365 with that, you know, Earth Ally and the actual team allies to jump to, and then we get the beautiful pick against Garage as well. This is looking mighty good for CE now, who are already dominating this first 50% of the halftime show.
But we are seeing Li Ming having to port back. She doesn't want to get herself caught out with low mana if SPT wanted to maybe decide to move in and play aggressively. Lufel, already burning down, has to teleport over the wall though.
Has to use the teleport. That is a good cooldown to track of, you know, to keep track of when you're SPT. Now, Lufel with that teleport down needs to be on his tippy toes because they might try to actually engage him. And look at that flank from KTY trying to find a squishy backline target for that Howling Blast, but doesn't actually have the guts to cast it just now.
So, we're seeing the poke coming in here from CE. Lucky is going to be the one burning down the enemy Immortal, unfortunately. Once again, he doesn't have Exterminate, so he's missing out on some damage here. CE, zone away with a lethal who will... Oh, he walks into the Treant! He walks into the Treant and gets taken out. That's going to be a kill in exchange for the Immortal. CE do win the Immortal race.
They do. So in the end, you can say it was a noble sacrifice by Lufo, but unfortunately for him, it was still an unnecessary one because all he had to do was just, you know, hide behind the fort, let the slowing shots of that fort slow down the Treant, and then kill it slowly and comfortably here. But, you know, sometimes these things happen. You know, sometimes you don't even expect the Treant to come out behind the wall. You walk into it and give that Broccoli pretty good kill. However, the objective still went over to CE, right? So, despite losing a member, Alufo is already back in the fray as well. They're probably going to get Misaka again, or are they? 44 armor.
Plasma cutter applied, chasing forward. 365 goes pretty deep here, but they can't get it. So instead, Belly C, who dodges the Stormbolt, and it's all about KTY, who's able to pick up the kill, and they even grab the triple kill with those resets on the Ming.
That was an absolute massacre. I mean, sure, SPT tried to defend that forward, right? But already they should have realized, you know, with all that pressure dealt by the Immortal, with so much pressure put onto Misaka as well, we just need to evacuate and get the hell out of here. Otherwise, that Arth that's actually coming all the way from the top lane could flank us pretty deadly. So, wonderful play by CE, great awareness by KTY, who smelled his opportunity, you know, when it was the right time to actually go for the backline, and already an entire level lead for CE. They're looking much better here than in first game.
Down goes the Impalers once again. They will push into the bot lane, piling on extra pressure by CE. It's far from over though. Like you said, this is a situation where the late game damage, and the mid game damage especially for CE, actually can be scary. Once that taunt's online, Tychus is going to have a field day with the damage output. And there's already slows for days online here. Is that the Adhesive Petroleum, or is that the Oil Dispersal? I can never remember which time's which for Blaze.
Yeah, for Blaze it's really hard. I don't know.
It's Adhesive Petroleum, good. So he has consistent slows, which combined with the Incinerator Gauntlets means he's not going to anti-synergy himself and minion toss instead of after stare. There's no anti-synergy, which means Rain is going to get more value from Ace in the Hole.
There you see the 25 armor applied to Tychus. Whenever he's getting stunned, rooted, and such, he's going to have this 25 armor proc from his level 7 talent, the Relentless Soldier, which is definitely a good choice in my opinion, because both frontliners actually of CE, Arthas and Murden, have their own tools of shutting down people. So with that Odin, that is probably going to come out at level 10. He's going to be a mighty resilient assassin, actually.
Yeah, as a reminder though, it's only physical armor, so it's not going to help against Juyu, for example. Nope, Relentless Soldier's only physical.
Are you 100% sure?
I will confirm.
I'm pretty sure it's normal armor because physical armor doesn't get shown next to the hero in the health bar.
It's normal armor for the Odin. No, you're right. I stand corrected. You are correct.
Yeah. So with the Odin in place, it's basically 50 armor. If the Odin gets stunned, for example, that's pretty insane. And yeah, Tyke is going to be pretty hard to kill for CE.
And he is. So now then, we're seeing the Immortal race beginning. CE going for the zoning play as well as the Immortal burn play. Whereas SPT looks like they just want to get level 10. So they're just going to try and push top lane. They find a Muradin actually, who has the Dwarf Toss away. He doesn't have to burn Avatar though, which is fantastic news.
Yeah, that is the knowledge of an experienced player like Wind, you know, in that Muradin. Other players might have actually pulled off the Avatar immediately just to prevent that death from happening. But look at SPT. They are actually willing to entirely give up this Immortal just for maybe getting a kill on Muradin, but only now do they rotate to their Immortal with that level 10, of course. That was the main goal, but so much damage already being dealt onto this beast. Not sure if CE can actually, if SPT can actually defend this. They need to make something happen right here, right now. Silence.
There's a Twilight Dream. That is something taught as well. Muradin gets completely stun locked and taken out. Li Ming is still doing some damage to the Immortal, but gets zoned away. Nice kill, but that's two heroics, two big heroics. Taunt and Twilight Dream used just to kill a Muradin, but that is the frontliner. That makes it incredibly difficult for CE to move in. In fact, they even try from behind their own camp, and they get put in danger. Seven-sided has to be used. Juyu escapes, though. But now KTY is a little bit isolated, but he's cutting off the escape. Bunker being used. He cuts off the escape from the bunker as they chase forward, but they can't get him. Even with that route, they will not be able to lock down Misaka.
Yeah, they can't lock down any SPT members, but what they could do, of course, was they could finish that Immortal. And that was just beautifully done, despite losing Murden, who kind of actually said it was okay for him to die. You know, obviously you don't want to lose unnecessary heroes, or heroes unnecessarily, because Murden is definitely far from being unnecessary. But with that sacrifice of Murden, as you said, Tetcher, they baited out several heroic abilities, and then it was Arthas' time to shine, who kind of can act like a replacement pseudo main tank here in this composition, right? And with that Army of the Dead and that Immortal now, they were actually able to zone out SPT, and they're now committing to this. Look at KTY going for a hee-hee play from the one all the way from downtown.
Downtown Lich King picks up the Reina kill, looking for more. Salvo with the plasma cutter, getting good value. Those were slow and powered shots there, as we do see the fort go down. Everyone from SPT survived, well, except for Reina, but they were low. They have propped the fountain, and now they are defending from inside the tier 2s.
That was amazing. That really reminded me of the ones Hee who likes to play Arthas himself quite a bit. Here goes the keep damage though, and they get the Kharazim, who no longer had access to that 7-sided.
Gorgeous taunt coming in from Misaka to even get Kharazim in that position. Beautiful job, and as such, this is going to be the Immortal being killed off. Fountain even survives. That is fantastic news.
Indeed, I think they really managed to salvage that situation quite nicely. SPT, that is. You know, as you said, with that golden engage by Misaka on that garage, finding the perfect target to engage upon on, because they realized, you know what, a few moments ago that cheeky 365 Kharazim had used the 7-sided against us, so he's now a relatively easy target to shut down if we taunt and CC him well enough. And that's exactly what they did, and with the help of that keep damage as well, they were able to kind of turn the tides. And although CE is still ahead, none of the keeps has been destroyed, and that is the most important thing, especially on BOE.
Exactly. Getting any of those keeps gives you huge amounts of value to it, especially due to the fact that the middle objective takes so freaking long to actually get. So either of these lanes getting cleared up gives you massive pushing potential. So CE begin to move out onto the map again. They're still ahead. They want to use their level 13 advantage while they have it.
Ooh,
Misaka gets spotted, actually. We need that assist. Mafurin's on the way, but they're too late. Misaka gets wiped here, and Wind makes the incredibly aggressive play to look for another kill, but the Triad and the Root stop him from chasing.
All right, so it's safe to say that Misaka on that garage didn't die completely in vain. I mean, his death was still kind of unnecessary because he was so far separated from his own teammates. But they managed to get the Mercenary Camp. Now, the Mercenary Camp, because of that death of Garrus, is not going to give them any value. So I think it was like a 50-50 play. No real disadvantage, but also no real advantage gained here for SPT. What they did achieve, though, was with that move, they bought a little bit of extra time to get 13 themselves. And with the help of that Mercenary Camp and the minions in the bottom lane that are very close by, I think they can equalize the town score.
So here we go. Immortal beginning to take some damage to you. Teleports away, doesn't want to get himself called out. Banshee, though, actually is a fantastic scout here. Making sure nothing untoward is happening. And CE just rotate to the center of the map, and the defense position on their own Immortal, while KTY sneaks in, looks for his opportunity. Alufal being forced to teleport away, though, as Arthas comes in from behind. Immediate Odin coming out. Four Tigers be taking a lot of damage here. 7-sided used too early here to try and deal with the bunker. Nice Twilight Dream only really hits Arthas as Wind is dropped low, but he's easily able to back out. Now it's KTY who is in danger.
Yeah, a lot of heroic abilities being burned on both sides, but the Odin is still active, and that is a big zoning and damaging tool here on the side of SPT right now. All the members, most of the members on the side of CE have taken heavy damage, so they were forced to go back to the bottom. But speaking of lanes, look at the top lane. That fallen Shaman camp has almost completely destroyed this keep, and Raynor needs to take care of that immediately. And the moment they see Raynor in the top lane, CE is trying to make something happen.
They move forwards. Li Ming nearly gets the reset onto Melody C.
That keep is dead.
Able to pull back. That keep is dead, and now the Immortal race begins to go over to CE using this very short time period where Raynor is reacting to this to their advantage with that aggressive push, which gives them positioning to begin the race, and they get the halfway point.
That is crazy. SPT got so caught up in their maneuver of trying to make a team fight happen, you know, trying to force something, that they completely forgot about the deadly mercenary camp in the top lane. That was the Fallen Shaman. And we say this many times, Tetcher, right? This Shaman camp is the most lethal one in the game when it comes to taking down structures. One of them, if everything goes right, is enough to take down a keep, and that's exactly what happened here.
Banshee begins burning some damage onto the Immortal. CE are in the defensive position for the moment because they're actually approaching 16. They wouldn't mind losing a little bit of a shield on this Immortal. They've already got a keep. they'd be more than happy, as long as they win the Immortal, to delay it as long as possible, because the trickle XP will get them closer to 16.
Right, the Benji just died to the Immortal stun there, which is a little bit of a letdown for Lucky's DPS altogether. And immediately, I think SPT realizes, you know what, we are in no condition to fight at the moment. 16 is going to be around the corner. We need to make something happen here, but that's easier said than done with both Garrosh and Blaze not being able to lock someone down the backline.
Li Ming, her full combo is dodged. She still gets tossed in with the taunt as well. Nice Twilight Dream, but Karazim with the healing, not enough to save Li Ming. She gets taken out. Seven-sided does some good damage, but they are still diving forward. KTY wraps around from the other side. Army of the Dead mostly expired at this point. It's a 4 versus 5, and we see Phoenix having to teleport away. Fight won by SPT.
That it was. Now let's actually check out the side lanes, right? The last time they won a team fight, it already bit them pretty hard with losing that top game. Look at the health bars. ZZH is out of mana. He can no longer heal, and the health bars are still looking pretty low for SPT. This could be CE's moment to actually make a 4 versus 5 try to become a reality. Li Ming, 6 seconds though until she's back.
They're moving aggressively. They're looking for the opportunity. Arthur's able to keep that Frost Resilience there to blast forward, looking for his opportunity, tanking through the combo of Garrosh, but he still eats so much damage from the Banshee as 365 kills it off.
Okay, that was still a good trade for SPT overall. Heroes like Arthas and Karazim are now in pretty bad shape themselves, but they use this moment here to wait for Malfrian and make something happen here. Win boss, that is a disaster for CE.
Li Ming is back, but like you said, this is still a man advantage for SPT. They're creating staggered death after staggered death right now, and Zoo's looking for an opportunity to move forward and start poking down that Immortal. But SPT, with Muradin gone, the main front line, they're more than happy to try and move in to get more kills and maybe even get the Immortal. As Zuyu gets taken out, that will 100% be the Immortal going over to SPT.
Wow, I was having my eyes on Soap's positioning there on the Blaze the entire time, and he came in from that unexpected angle in the top lane. That was so well played by him from start to finish to really grab that Li Ming by the pants and take her out. That was beautifully done by SPT overall, yet it's still safe to say that CE, although they lost a couple of heroes there and only gave a little bit of experience to the opponents, it's still going to be such a good position for them to be in, right? Because they still have both forwards. That Immortal is going to take a mighty long time to actually get any value done whatsoever.
But if SPT push with it, this is where they can try and make stuff happen. Like I said, shields low, SPT trying to push with it as CE move for the defense. 365 gets stunned. Has a cleansing touch here, as you can already see, but it has to burn a dash to keep himself safe.
Alright, the first fort has fallen on the side of CE in this game. SPT, can they stabilize? Let's keep an eye on the top lane as well, Tetra. You know, with those catapults slowly but surely trickling in and trying to get some damage done onto the core. I think right now, SPT, they need to send someone home. Maybe even Soap. Look at KTY. He's trying to go for another cheeky Arthas flank all the way from behind. But Soap's positioning tells you the whole story. They don't see Arthas, so this time they actually expect him to try something like that again.
Looks like CE might just be
committing to
defense here. They're going to try and time out the Odin. KTY wraps around from inside the base this time as they realize this is happening. The core call is happening, but the Odin has expired. This is where SPT just have to retreat or they might get in trouble. The core's going to take a lot of damage. Twilight Dream gets 3 members here, but that might not be enough. Taunt onto Arthas. He will go down here. The salvo is good. Bunker denies it completely. Tucker is low. Win tagging through this. Gets the healing static to keep himself alive. Cleansing touch gets him out of there. 365 gets killed.
They did it.
Lucky gets the double kill. This is both assassins alive for CE, but look at the health bars of SPT. Mouth heals them up, and they move in to win the game.
Tetra, that was probably one of the clutchest bunker plays I have ever seen in HGC China. Yeah. Alufo might actually fall. It doesn't even matter. The distraction has been completed, and here goes the core. It goes down to 25-20, and SPT all the way from behind. They did it and secure themselves game number 2.
Game 2 going over to SPT and